Have you ever looked around your home and felt overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff surrounding you? Stacks of old papers collecting dust, closets packed with clothes you haven't worn in years, shelves lined with sentimental items that no one ever looks at, all piling up silently, making your home feel more cluttered, more chaotic, and harder to manage. But here's the real concern. Is your home still a safe and comfortable place for you? Too much clutter isn't just an inconvenience. It can be a real danger as we age. Piles of belongings create tripping hazards, overstuffed cabinets make it difficult to find what you need, and excess clutter can even affect your mental well-being, leaving you feeling anxious, frustrated, and trapped in a space that no longer feels like a sanctuary. And yet, letting go of these things can feel impossible. What if you need them someday? What if getting rid of them means letting go of precious memories? The truth is, decluttering isn't about losing, it's about gaining. Gaining space, gaining peace of mind, and gaining the ability to move freely and safely in your home. Before you turn 70, there are certain household items you need to let go of, not just for a tidier space, but to protect yourself and reclaim your home as a place of ease and comfort. In today's video, we're going to talk about 6 things you should declutter right now to make your life simpler and safer. These are the items that could be weighing you down more than you realize. Stay with me until the end, because holding on to too much could be holding you back in ways you haven't even thought about. Let's get started. Number 1. Worn out and unused furniture. Take a moment to look around your home. How many pieces of furniture do you actually use, and how many are just sitting there, taking up space? That old recliner with the sagging cushions, the heavy wooden dresser you haven't opened in years, or the dining table that once hosted family gatherings but now only holds stacks of unopened mail. These things aren't just cluttering your home, they're making your life harder. I know this because I went through it myself. A few years ago, I realized my home was filled with furniture that no longer served me. There was a time when I loved my oversized coffee table, but lately, I found myself bumping into it more often than using it. My bedroom had a large wooden dresser that I struggled to open because the drawers were stiff. And then there was my old couch, one I had for decades, so soft and sunken that once I sat down, getting up felt like a workout. But I kept telling myself, it's still good. It has memories. I don't want to part with it. Until one morning, I tripped over that very coffee table and nearly fell. That was my wake-up call. I started paying closer attention to how much these old, bulky, and worn-out pieces were affecting my daily life. I decided it was time for a change. I let go of the oversized coffee table and replaced it with a smaller, lightweight one that was easier to move around. The heavy dresser? Gone. I switched to a more practical one with easy-to-open drawers that didn't require me to wrestle with them every time I needed a pair of socks. And the couch. Oh, the couch. I finally invested in one that gave me proper back support, making sitting down and getting up effortless. The result? My home felt lighter, safer, and more comfortable. I no longer had to worry about tripping over unnecessary furniture, and every piece in my home now served a real purpose. It was a relief I never expected. Letting go of old furniture doesn't mean letting go of memories. It means prioritizing your comfort, mobility, and peace of mind. If you're keeping that bulky china cabinet just because it belonged to a relative, ask yourself, does it still serve me? If not, consider passing it down to someone who will actually use it, donating it, or replacing it with something more functional. Start small. Look at your furniture and ask, is this making my life easier or harder? If it's something you rarely use, no longer find comfortable, or struggle to maneuver around, it might be time to say goodbye. Creating a home with less clutter and more space to move freely can bring an incredible sense of relief. A well-arranged open space isn't just easier to clean, it feels lighter, calmer, and more peaceful. So take the first step. Your home should be a place that supports you, not one that slows you down. And trust me, once you let go of what no longer serves you, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Number 2, clothes you never wear. At some point, we all find ourselves holding on to clothes we never wear. Maybe it's a dress you bought for a special occasion years ago, a pair of jeans that haven't fit in decades, or a closet full of shoes that look great but pinch your feet every time you wear them. Whatever the case, before you turn 70, it's time to ask yourself, do I really need all of this? Because the truth is, a wardrobe packed with unworn clothes isn't just clutter. It's making your life more complicated than it needs to be. Take my friend Evelyn, for example. At 74, she had a closet so full that she could barely squeeze in a new hanger. Yet every morning, she stood in front of it, frustrated, feeling like she had nothing to wear. She had dresses from the 80s that still had shoulder pads, jackets from her career days that hadn't seen daylight in years, and more pairs of heels than she could count, despite the fact that she hadn't worn anything but sneakers and flats in over a decade. But when I suggested she sort through her clothes, she hesitated. "What if I need them one day?" she asked. And some of these hold so many memories. That's the hardest part. Letting go of clothes often feels like letting go of the past. That blouse she wore to her son's wedding, the coat she bought for her first big vacation, the sweater her late husband once complimented her on. But here's the thing. Your wardrobe should reflect who you are today, not who you used to be. Holding on to clothes you never wear isn't just about physical space. It's about emotional space too. One weekend, Evelyn decided to make a change. She pulled everything out of her closet and made 3 piles. One for clothes she loved and actually wore, one for items that didn't fit or weren't comfortable, and one for those just-in-case pieces she had been holding on to for years. That last pile was the hardest. She ran her hands over old dresses, remembering where she wore them. But as she set them aside, something surprising happened. She didn't feel loss. She felt relief. By the end of the day, Evelyn's closet was transformed. Gone were the clothes that no longer served her. What remained were pieces that fit well, made her feel good, and suited her lifestyle now. And the best part? She donated the rest to a local women's shelter, knowing that someone else would get real use out of them. "I thought I'd feel sad," she told me later. "But instead, I feel lighter. It's like I finally have a closet that makes sense for my life today." That's the beauty of decluttering. When you clear out what no longer fits, physically or emotionally, you make space for what truly matters. You'll find it easier to get dressed in the morning, easier to keep your space tidy, and easier to feel good about the clothes you wear. And by donating the things you no longer need, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping someone else too. So if your closet is overflowing with clothes you never wear, ask yourself, do I really need this? If it doesn't fit, if it's uncomfortable, or if you haven't worn it in years, it's time to let it go. At this stage in life, you deserve a wardrobe that works for you, not one that holds you back. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Expired medications and old toiletries. One of the most overlooked sources of household clutter is likely sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now. Expired medications and old toiletries. These items tend to accumulate over the years, often without us realizing it. Maybe it's a bottle of pain relievers you bought a decade ago, a half-used prescription you never finished, or a collection of skincare products you tried once but didn't love. Before you know it, your medicine cabinet and bathroom drawers are overflowing with items that no longer serve a purpose. And even worse, some of them might not even be safe anymore. Medications expire for a reason. Over time, their effectiveness declines, and in some cases, they can even become harmful. Holding on to old prescriptions, just in case, might seem harmless, But the truth is, if you ever need that medication again, you should be consulting your doctor for a new prescription that's appropriate for your current health needs. Yet, so many of us let expired pill bottles and unused medications sit in our cabinets, never questioning whether they are still useful or whether they are doing anything other than taking up space and adding unnecessary risk. Toiletries aren't much different. That bottle of lotion you haven't touched in years, the sunscreen from who knows when, the perfume you stopped using a decade ago, all of these products have expiration dates too. Many people don't realize that skincare products and cosmetics don't last forever. Using expired lotions, creams, or makeup can lead to skin irritation, rashes, or even infections. But we keep them because we think we might use them one day. Let's be honest, if it's been sitting untouched for months or even years, you probably won't. Take my friend Helen, for example. At 76, she took pride in keeping her home organized, but one day, while searching for a bandage, she opened her medicine cabinet and was shocked by what she found. Bottles of expired pain relievers, half-used antibiotic creams, prescription medications from years ago that she no longer needed. It was all still there. Then she checked her bathroom drawers and realized she had old lipsticks, dried-up mascaras, and skincare products she hadn't used in years. It had all just been sitting there, collecting dust, forgotten until now. That day, Helen decided to clean it all out. As she tossed out expired medications and old toiletries, she felt a sense of relief. For the first time in years, she knew that everything in her cabinet was actually safe and useful. "I had no idea I was holding on to so much unnecessary stuff," she told me. "Now when I open my bathroom cabinet, I know that everything in there is something I can actually use and trust." This is something many people don't realize. Decluttering your medications and toiletries isn't just about tidiness, it's about safety. It's about making sure you have what you truly need and getting rid of things that no longer serve you. When you remove expired medications, you create space for those that are current and effective. When you toss out old toiletries, you simplify your daily routine and ensure that everything you put on your skin is fresh and beneficial. If you haven't checked your medicine cabinet or bathroom drawers in a while, now is the time. Go through your medications. If they're expired, dispose of them safely. If they're prescriptions you no longer need, don't keep them just in case. Properly discard them instead of letting them sit there indefinitely. And when it comes to toiletries, be honest with yourself. If you haven't used it in over a year, you probably never will. Let it go and enjoy the simplicity of having only what you truly need. Number 4. Old papers, documents, and unused mail. One of the most common yet easily overlooked sources of household clutter is paperwork. Over the years, it piles up on kitchen counters, inside drawers, stuffed into filing cabinets, and even boxed away in case it might be needed someday. Expired warranties, outdated utility bills, receipts from purchases long forgotten, and instruction manuals for appliances you no longer own. The amount of unnecessary paperwork in most homes is staggering. Before you turn 70, it's time to take control of it. Paper clutter doesn't just take up space, it can also be a source of stress. Think about how frustrating it is to search for an important document only to dig through stacks of papers that should have been thrown out years ago, or the overwhelming feeling of seeing unopened mail piling up on the counter, making it seem like you're constantly behind on something. The reality is that most of the papers we keep are no longer necessary, and letting them go can bring an unexpected sense of relief. Take Barbara, for example. At 73, she had an entire filing cabinet packed with documents dating back decades, old utility bills, outdated receipts, even tax returns from the 1980s. These papers had been sitting there for years without any real reason to keep them. But one day, when she needed to find an important insurance document, she realized how much unnecessary clutter was standing in her way. It took her nearly an hour to locate one piece of paper, and by the time she did, she was frustrated, exhausted, and ready for a change. Determined to regain control, Barbara set aside an afternoon to tackle her paperwork. She started sorting through every folder and drawer, making 3 categories: documents to keep, documents to shred, and documents to recycle. It wasn't easy. She had kept so many papers out of habit, convinced they might be useful one day. But as she went through them, she realized most were outdated, redundant, or completely irrelevant to her life now. When she was done, she had cut her paperwork in half, and for the first time in years, she knew exactly where to find what she needed. That's the power of decluttering paperwork. It's not just about creating physical space, it's about clearing mental space too. You free yourself from the stress of seeing piles of old mail, unnecessary documents, and folders full of things you will never need again. And the best part? With today's technology, most important documents can be accessed digitally, meaning you don't have to keep physical copies of everything. So where should you start? Ask yourself, have I looked at this paper in the past year? If the answer is no, chances are you don't need it. Shred old bank statements, contracts, and personal documents that are no longer relevant. Recycle manuals for appliances you no longer own. Only keep necessary legal, financial, and medical documents, and organize them in a way that makes them easy to find when needed. And when it comes to mail, don't let it pile up. Throw away junk mail immediately. Pay bills as soon as they arrive, and only keep what's necessary. Unsubscribe from newsletters or magazines you no longer read. The goal is simple. Keep only the papers that serve a real purpose and eliminate the rest. If your home is filled with stacks of papers and piles of unopened mail, now is the time to take action. A clean, organized space isn't just easier to manage. It's a gift of clarity, peace of mind, and a simpler, stress-free life. Number 5. Kitchen items you never use. The kitchen is one of the most cluttered spaces in any home. Over the years, it's easy to accumulate items that serve no real purpose. Cabinets stuffed with mismatched containers, drawers overflowing with utensils you never touch, and old pots and pans gathering dust. Before you turn 70, it's time to clear out the kitchen clutter that's making your space more chaotic than it needs to be. Many people hold on to kitchen items out of habit. Maybe it's that fancy dinnerware set you've been saving for a special occasion that never seems to come. Or the small appliances you bought years ago but never actually used. You might even have 3 or 4 versions of the same tool, a collection of ladles, stacks of coffee mugs, or a drawer full of plastic lids with no matching containers. The reality is, a kitchen filled with unused or unnecessary items doesn't make life easier, it makes it harder. Take Carol, for example. At 75, she had lived in the same home for decades, and her kitchen was packed with gadgets and cookware she rarely used. There was a blender, a food processor, and a toaster oven, all sitting untouched. Her cabinets were stacked high with plates and glasses, and her drawers were filled with kitchen tools she didn't even remember buying. Every time she needed something, she had to dig through the clutter to find it. Then one morning, while searching for a frying pan, she knocked over an entire pile of unused baking trays. That was her wake-up call. Enough was enough. She made the decision to go through her kitchen, one cabinet at a time, and ask herself a simple question: do I actually use this? If the answer was no, it went into a separate pile. Out went the expired spices and forgotten pantry items. Out went the bread maker she bought years ago and only used once. By the time she was done, her kitchen felt like an entirely new space, more functional, more organized, and, most importantly, easier to use. That's the key. When you let go of kitchen items you never use, you create a space that works for you, not against you. Cooking becomes simpler, cleaning takes less time, and you no longer feel overwhelmed by cluttered countertops or jam-packed cabinets. You don't need a crowded kitchen to make great meals. You just need the essentials. So take a look around your kitchen. Open the cabinets, check the drawers, and ask yourself, when was the last time I used this? If it's been years, if it's covered in dust, Or if you're only keeping it just in case, then it's time to let it go. A kitchen filled with only the things you actually use isn't just easier to manage. It makes daily life flow more smoothly and ultimately more enjoyable. Number 6. Sentimental items that no longer serve you. One of the hardest things to declutter isn't furniture, clothing, or paperwork. It's sentimental items. Old letters, gifts from loved ones, souvenirs from past vacations, childhood keepsakes, and boxes filled with memories from decades ago. These objects carry emotional weight, which is why so many of us struggle to let them go. But before you turn 70, it's worth asking yourself, are these sentimental objects bringing you joy, or are they simply taking up space? Many people hold on to sentimental items because they feel guilty about letting them go. A birthday card from a dear friend who has passed away. A box of drawings your children made when they were little. Souvenirs from a vacation that once felt life-changing. These things remind us of beautiful moments, but over time, they can also become overwhelming when they start piling up, filling closets, basements, and attics with things we rarely, if ever, look at. The truth is, memories don't live in objects. They live in you. Keeping an excessive amount of sentimental clutter doesn't honor the past. It just makes the present harder to manage. Holding on to too much can weigh you down emotionally and physically, making it harder to enjoy the space you live in today. Take my friend Frank, for example. At 76, he had spent decades saving everything, boxes and boxes of old letters, souvenirs, keepsakes, and childhood memorabilia from his kids and grandkids. When he decided to downsize his home, he realized he had an entire garage filled with things he hadn't touched in years. At first, the idea of getting rid of anything felt impossible. What if he forgot the memories attached to those items? What if letting go felt like losing a piece of his history? But then, he made a shift. Instead of keeping everything, he started being selective. He kept a few truly meaningful things: his wedding album, a handful of letters from his late wife, and a small collection of souvenirs from road trips that still made him smile. The rest? He let go. He donated items that could still bring joy to others. He took photos of sentimental objects that he wanted to remember but didn't need to physically keep. And as he decluttered, he felt something unexpected: relief. That's what many people don't realize. Decluttering sentimental items doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means making space to fully enjoy the present. It means keeping the best and letting go of the rest. It means choosing to surround yourself with things that bring you happiness rather than objects that weigh you down. So if you've been holding on to sentimental items that feel more like a burden than a blessing, take a moment to reflect. Do you need to keep every letter, every souvenir, every keepsake to remember the people and experiences that shaped you? Or can you hold on to the memories in your heart while freeing up space in your home? Because at this stage in life, the most valuable things aren't the ones collecting dust. They're the ones that bring you peace and joy every single day. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly encourage you to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a new video. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs and inspires you. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on the 6 household items we've discussed. Decluttering before you turn 70 isn't just about making space. It's about creating a home that is lighter, easier to manage, and better suited to the life you want to live. Every item you let go of isn't a loss. It's a step toward simplicity, clarity, and peace of mind. Which part of today's discussion stood out to you the most? Did you recognize any of these clutter culprits in your own home? Maybe you've already started letting go of furniture that no longer serves you, or perhaps you've realized how much easier life could be without piles of old paperwork, unused kitchen gadgets, or sentimental objects that no longer bring you joy. Or maybe this video has given you a new perspective, that decluttering isn't just about things, it's about freedom. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you've learned today and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your insights matter to us, and reading your comments is a huge source of encouragement and inspiration. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating high-quality content to inform and inspire you. Thank you for watching.